and friend of the channel, friend of Black travelers everywhere, the South African socialite, Kina Williams.
Hi.
Hey, hey, hey. So glad to have you with us today. So
Thank you
very,
for
very
having
glad.
me.
You've been in South Africa how long?
Oh, wow. I think at this point it's coming up on 2.5 years. So October, sorry, not October, but November will make 3 years that I've been here.
Okay. So she's been in South Africa for 3 years. And y'all, I was expecting her to see her in Young and Famous South Africa, or whatever that was, whatever the Young, Rich, and Famous Africa.
They haven't called me. They haven't called me yet.
Her on that show because every time I see her on the socials, she is somewhere doing something with the peoples. And oh yes, these are the celebrities that were at this. You're always rubbing elbows. Always
I'm
rubbing.
trying.
Listen. So I always tell Kina that when I come to South Africa again, I'm gonna need her to take me to the fancy places
Come
because
through.
she is now my official fancy lady in South Africa. But for all of you today, she is going to tell us about how she bought her own property in South Africa, which is part of her journey there, which has been an interesting journey, which we captured on another video. She's in our mega mix for Exodus Summit, one of the 12 days of career breaks. And she is the reason that there is an Exodus Summit because when Stephanie and I first talked to her back in 2019, December 2019, she was like, you guys should do a summit. And I was like, we're breaking up, can't, baby. We're doing these 12 videos and nothing more. And now 3 years later. So we can thank or not Kina for that, depending on what the mood is.
You're welcome.
Today we talk about real estate. So good morning to everyone watching. Good morning to everyone watching the replay, wherever you are. Come on in, jump in the comments. Let us know. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what questions you have about real estate in South Africa. We're here to do this. So, okay, first, high level. What brought you from California to South Africa?
That's a really great question. I've told the story to you before. Originally, it's always a man. It's always something. And originally in 2018, I got engaged to someone, and I decided that I was going to come to South Africa. We split the following year, but I decided I'm going to go anyway. So in 2019, I applied for a visa. 4 weeks later, I received that visa, and 6 months later, I was actually in South Africa.
Okay. When you say it's always a man, and when I say
it's always a situation.
It's two different things. When I say it's always a man, I'm like, it's always a man. It's always a man. Coming in here, breaking stuff up, being loud.
Listen.
But your it's always a man was a different situation. And it ended up working out very well for you because I'm gonna tell her business a little bit.
Go ahead.
Miss Ma'am, that man didn't work out.
Right.
That man is away somewhere. We ain't worried about him. But there were some times when Miss Ma'am said, if you're not the one, another one will be. Right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Miss Ma'am was in the streets having some fun.
Yes.
Because dating in South Africa was good to you.
It was very, very good to me. It was a great time. I was always out meeting new people, making friendships, connections, and so forth. So it was great to network with people. Even though the man may not have worked out, maybe he knew someone or I knew someone that could help him. He could help me with things, and I've developed a lot of connections that way.
I have some of my closest friends came from a man. And none of us talk to that man anymore. But yeah. Anyway, that man is gone. So you moved here. We're gonna slow it down though. We're gonna slow it down.
Right.
Here, you were renting a place for a while.
Yes.
Before we get to buying real estate, y'all, I'm gonna tell you when to forward. In the description, if you're like, I don't need to know any of this, I just want to know how to buy the real estate, I'll put a little tell you when to fast forward to get through all of this. But for the rest of us, we want this warm up. Okay, so when you moved to South Africa, you were not with original man anymore when you landed in South Africa.
That's correct. I was solo.
So you were deciding all the housing decisions, all the decisions were yours on your own.
Yes.
Okay. Now, how did you end up picking the place you lived?
The place that I lived when I first arrived here, I had been to South Africa several times, so I pretty much knew the neighborhoods that I wanted to live in. I had a list of requirements that I needed to have. I wanted to live in a high-rise building. I needed to have a washer and dryer. The place needed to be furnished. It had to be a very secure building. It needed to be close to stores I could walk to because I did not have a car at the time. So I narrowed it, and it had to have, air conditioning, generator, backup water, and sources like that. Things that we probably don't think about when we're purchasing houses in the States. So I found a few buildings that met my criteria, and I started looking at rental websites. I kept finding apartments in one particular building, and as soon as the apartment was listed, within a few days, it was gone. So I was figuring this is a hot spot. This must be a great place to live, and I decided one of the apartments. I decided I wanted to take that particular apartment, and I negotiated the rent. So with negotiation, I did something that we probably don't really do in the States. Is I basically said, you know what, I'm going to pay my rent an entire year. So in order for me to do that, you're going to whatever price you're charging. I'm not paying that. I'm going to pay less than that, and I'm going to give it to you all in advance. And that's what I ended up doing, basically paying 1 year of rent in advance.
Okay. Before you started your search, by the way, this rich energy, I love it. Like,
where?
Well. Okay. So, had you even considered the idea of paying rent for a full year before you were actually doing the search in South Africa?
No, it wasn't my it wasn't something that I thought about doing as far as paying in advance. However, what I was finding out as a new person coming here, the particular visa that I have is a retiree visa, so I don't work here. So to a lot of landlords, I look suspect, if you will. So I don't have a job. I don't have their particular criteria. I don't have a work permit. They can't see what's really going on. So I figure, let me make it easy and say, here, this is what you want. This is the money. Here it is. So basically, that was my negotiating factor, which is why I was able to um, basically say, hey, I will give you this amount, the full amount for the whole year, which at first I think my landlord was a little bit shocked because I don't think that I don't think that she's met someone that was willing to do that. And also, I think she looked at my age. I'm not that old, and she was probably wondering, who is this person? What are you doing? And why do you want to do this? And basically, we did a lot of communication back and forth. I worked with a realtor to get this particular apartment. So I ended up paying half. By the time I got here, I paid the other half, and I moved in after meeting her. She let me actually move in a little bit earlier than my lease started.
Okay. So you were looking at this apartment before. I want to get the timeline right. You were in California negotiating on this apartment, or were you already in South Africa?
No, I was already in South Africa before this happened. So
Okay.
I did something that I would say is probably risky. That I don't know. I go by my gut. I got a lot of guts, honey. So let me tell you, I went by the gut and I said, this apartment is the apartment that I'm supposed to be in. So I just went on it and said, okay, let me just do that. And I paid the full amount in advance, and
Okay.
it worked.
Okay. LLO asked if you're in Johannesburg or Cape Town. I forget to say because it's Johannesburg. Like whatever. For me, it's never. If I say South Africa, no, it's Johannesburg. Maybe Durban, but it's not. It's not Cape Town personally, and so I forget.
I'm just a little bit outside. I tell people I'm in Johannesburg, but I'm roughly about 20, 25, 30 minutes outside of the city in the northern suburbs.
Do you mind naming the place?
I'm in Waterfall.
Waterfall? Okay. I've
Yes.
never heard of Waterfall before.
It's a new, if you will, it's a new suburb, if you will. I don't know how long it's been here, but it's a lot of new construction here, a lot of new development. It's a nice um, area for me. They have a lot of all of the amenities that I need, stores, what have you. You know, I lived in Santon for a while,
That's just nice.
and at this point, I don't even need to go to Santon anymore because everything I need is right in this area.
Okay. So, S. Queen Rob says, I'm a little late. Did she buy or lease? Both. So, we're talking about the initial process when she was leasing right now.
Mhm.
So, she leased and then she bought. We're talking about leasing. We're going to get to purchasing in a little bit. Okay. And so, you were leasing in Santon, which is a
Yes,
very popular neighborhood
yes.
for the bougies in South Africa.
I wouldn't know about the bougies.
Oh, oh you know,
I don't know about them. I don't know about that.
so Santon was not a
Santon
very, very nice neighborhood with
Santon
well.
is a very nice area. It's a very nice area. Um, it is known as the richest square mile in Africa. So anything you could possibly want or think of, you're going to find it in that particular area. You will have a lot of nice apartments there, a lot of nice condos, which they still call them apartments here. Houses, duplexes, what have you, they will be in that area. A lot of high prices in the area, but you're paying for an area that has notoriety. Basically, it is just a lot of wealth in that area.
The bougies. I said it. And it's not, listen, hi, raising my hand, right? Like, that was not a judgment. It's just what it is, right? Okay. So, your first place was actually a condo hotel building. Is that right?
Yes, the first place I lived, it wasn't a owner. It was an apartment basically in a hotel that had a private owner.
Okay. What was the experience of living in a hotel in the richest square mile in Africa like? Or in South Africa or in Africa in general? I missed what you said.
South Africa, yeah, I would say
Okay.
South Africa.
No,
I
I
mean,
meant when you say the richest square mile, is that specific to South Africa?
Africa.
Africa, yes. Okay,
Yes,
so
for
so
that, yes.
what was it like living in a hotel in the richest square mile in Africa?
Well, it was interesting because, living in a hotel, number one, there's room service, there's a gym there. So I would have a trainer that would come to the gym 3 times a week to train me for a reasonable price. There was a restaurant there, there was a bar there. They would have entertainment on the weekends, or there was always some type of special event going on, whether there was a festival or what have you. So everything I really needed or wanted, I could get there. They had a coffee shop. They always had some type of specials during the week, whether it was come down and let's do a paint and sip program, or here's this jazz artist here on Sundays, or they play I'm a piano music on Saturday nights or what have you. There was always something going on. And this particular place that I lived, they always had celebrities there. So some of the people that were living in the building, they were famous, and I didn't really know who people were. I was the type of person like, hey, how are you? Good to see you again, not knowing I'm talking to this person who's a famous rapper here, or one of my favorite Piano folks was on the elevator one day, and I'm just like, you're meeting so many people in this particular building. So you saw everything living in a hotel. So it was great.
Okay. All right. What wasn't so great about living there?
Uh, Sometimes the floor that I was on was, and I didn't notice at the time, was I was on the dedicated quiet floor,
Mm,
which was okay. Air France actually owned a lot of the units on my floor.
okay.
So it was mainly me and Air France pilots and their entire air crew. Well, when COVID happened, there were no flights coming in and out.
Ah,
So they used that hotel as basically, there were only a few hotels that were open during that time, because if you had a company that had you here in South Africa for business, you had to move to a hotel where you could stay until you could get out. So They basically turned my floor and other floors into this is where people will be staying until they can get out of this country. And it got restless. People were upset. You would hear people just being loud and, making a lot of noise. And the hotel was a smoke-free hotel. I don't have a problem with people that smoke things from the earth. I don't have a problem with that. However, I don't want to smell it. So, I had a little issue with one of my neighbors, and we finally got that issue solved. So it was like little things like that you would go through. But I think you would find that probably in any apartment building that you would live in.
Okay, so that sounds more like it was a COVID problem, especially like
it was a COVID problem, not necessarily an issue that we would have on a regular basis. I just think at that time our lockdown was so serious that we, we couldn't get out, so people were probably going crazy at that point.
Okay, so I want to back up a second. When you said you were looking for a place, you looked for a place with a generator, with a water reserve and some everything.
Yes.
How did you know that you wanted a place with those things before you had moved here?
South Africa has, sometimes they have issues with what they call, I just went out, I'm not going to call it a blackout. It's a load shedding. That's the term. So load shedding is basically when the power grids are overloaded, and the local agencies here will basically cut off power to certain areas. So, or certain neighborhoods where basically you may have 6 hours off of power this day. Another neighborhood may have 6 hours at random times. So where I lived, I did not have any load shedding issues. So if the power tripped off in my neighborhood, it would do a boop, boop, and I would have power back again. Whereas I could see other buildings across from me, no power.
My godmother, who's not really my godmother, but I claim her as my godmother, is here. I think it's the first time. Hey, Marilyn. Hi. So I got really excited. My mom was with her in Jamaica, but we didn't worry about my mama. Marilyn's here. Hi. Okay, and now I'm all nervous because I'm like, my people are watching. Okay, so you knew about the load shedding. Is that because you've done research? Your man's was here, so that helped. That helped a little bit in your while he was your man. Did that help in your transition of like knowing what to expect, knowing what to look for, or like were you doing research?
I did a lot of research on things like that, and I've traveled to various African countries before, namely Nigeria and other places where you would see people with generators because the power would boop boop, and you had to be ready for that. Mm-hmm. So that was something that I knew wherever I'm going to live here, I need to have backup backup power, strong Wi-Fi connection, water, because these are the basic necessities. So it's a shame sometimes when we see, power going out here because they really just need to redo that grid. But I'm choosing to live in places that have these amenities.
Okay. All right. Do you think, in your experience, in your research, was the price difference in getting these amenities significantly different from buildings that might have had the exact same features without these specific amenities, without the water, there's a big price difference?
Oh, definitely.
Place of a generator?
Definitely. Okay. Definitely. Right. And well, let me just say this. It could, and it's also depending on where you decide to live. I have people that I know that they may live somewhere in the area where, they may be paying half of the rent that I was paying. However, they're sitting in the dark, or they may not have a swimming pool. They may not have other amenities. So it really depends on what amenities you want and what are you willing to pay for. And at this point, looking at the price point here in South Africa, I was willing to pay for what I was used to having when I was living in California.
Okay. So, friends, if you're going to Johannesburg and you're renting an Airbnb, it's a good thing to find out if there's a generator there, because I've definitely stayed in one. Someone's guest house out back. I know that house had a generator. I know it did, but the guest house did not. And so there were just hours where there was no power. I would have
Yes.
something to do on the computer and there's no Wi-Fi because there's no power. And
Yes.
it's like,
Hmm.
okay, so we're just sitting here either in the dark or like daylight waiting for it to get dark because there's nothing,
Yes.
no power.
There's nothing. Yes.
So, um, yeah, it's an important thing to think about. It's important to know what the infrastructure of where you're going is and
Excuse me.
how that's going to impact your expenses. It's also, we're in a lot of the same Facebook groups, so we see a lot of the same things. This is also why I say when people tell you what price you can get an apartment for or what's available and what's expensive, what's
Excuse me.
etc., it's important to get the details because if that person doesn't need power all the time and you do, it don't matter what that person pays, right? Like what's expensive to somebody else because they don't need power all the time, right? And they can live in the dark might not be relevant to isn't going to be relevant to your life if you are a person who's like, give it to me. I need that electricity, right? And so these are the questions that I want you to ask when you're in these groups and people are either talking about the prices of living in a place or something like that. You need to drill down into what they're talking about, right? Like, is there load shedding? If there's load shedding in the city and they're talking about prices, what does it mean? So when you were looking at South Africa, were you seeing people having the conversation about rents and including the conversation about load shedding and considering what to do and how much extra that would cost you?
No, I don't think they were doing that particular conversation. It's so good that you brought that point up because I see it all the time where I will see conversations in groups where people will say, hey, I live in such and such country. I live this close to the beach and my rent's $200. And I'm thinking, do you have running water? Do you have water? Where is they say the toilet here. I say the restroom, they say toilet. They're like, where is the toilet? Is it outside? Do you have any power running in your house? What about ventilation? People are, for whatever reason, I mean, if you want to live a minimalist life, great, fantastic. But that's not me. I'm a little too old for that at this point in my life. So I think these are the conversations that people are not having. So I'm really glad that you brought that up because it's important for me to have that. I mean, I couldn't be talking to you now if we were load shedding. And we were load shedding last week, but here I am still sitting in power on my Wi-Fi because we keep a consistent power where I choose to live.
Right, and it's a conversation to have because so many people are chasing the lowest numbers, right? So many people are like you said, $200 live by the beach. Yes, sign me up, without realizing what that looks like. And for those of us who've lived in places where we didn't have consistent power or any indoor water or plumbing. That's a choice, but you have to you have to say, I'm okay with this, right? Instead of saying, if that's the lowest price, it's fine, because some of those things aren't going to be fine, right? Like when I hear $100, I just feel like I'm going to get all day, right? Like that's what I'm thinking of. Like it's not going to have enough coverings to keep out insects.
I'm laughing. A friend of mine's, we had dinner a couple of weeks ago, and she was looking to buy an apartment, and she showed me the apartment that she wanted to buy. And I looked at the price point, did the conversion in US dollars, and for what she was looking for, that apartment would have worked. However, again, no generator, no backup water. The apartment was on the 7th floor. I can't imagine having an emergency and having to walk down 7 flights of stairs in the dark. I can't do it. But some people can. I'm just not one of those people.
My apartment's in the 20s, and I've had to walk up the stairs because of an emergency one time. And it was like, never again. There was an earthquake, and I was like, it was at night during COVID. There was an earthquake here, which means most people go outside, and I was like, I'll be in bed. If the building collapses, it's fine. I could tell. I'm an earthquake pro. Been through enough of them to I was like, it's fine. Nothing's happening. But I was also like, I'm also not leaving to walk all the dogs in the elevator, in the stairwell, down 27 flights. Listen, the dogs in the hallway were going wild. I couldn't imagine because we have 30-something floors in the building. I couldn't imagine 30-something floors of people and animals going down at the same time. I said, no, I'm gonna be in bed. So, That can happen everywhere, but it's also something to think about when you're thinking about where you live. If there's
Yes.
so for me that happened one time because it's an earthquake. But if there's a power outage, if there's load shedding, multiple times, is it multiple times a month or multiple times a week in the same
It
areas?
could be multiple times a day, but they have an app here to tell you when it's going to happen. So you know when it's going to happen, exact times.
Okay,
So your
that's
phone will bing, load shedding, like, oh, okay, this time of day, make sure I'm not in this particular neighborhood when this is going on or what have you.
but if you get caught slipping, then multiple times a day you could have to go up and down however many flights
Yes,
to get to.
yes, yes.
It's not for me. It's not for me. That one
Mm-mm.
time with the earthquake, I was like, this isn't.
No.
Mm-mm, no. All right, so boom, you're in Santon
Hmm.
with the Richies. You rubbing elbows, all the celebrities. You famous. Y'all, she famous in South Africa. I'm telling you. You're gonna see her down there like a billboard or something soon. I know it. I'm claiming it for you.
I'll take it. Amen.
She's a celebrity. Her man's a celebrity. We're gonna talk about all this stuff. We're gonna talk about all of it. All of it. All right. So boom. You're here. Um, so for the year you were in the lease, was there ever a
Mhm.
moment where you were like, I shouldn't have gave her all that money in advance. I need to go. We talked about the COVID type situation, but aside from that, was there any point where you were like, I made a mistake paying in advance?
Um, yes and no. I think to get the apartment I wanted, I probably had to do what I had to do, which was pay
Okay.
that in advance. However, when COVID happened, what happened here was the rand, which is our currency of money here, to dollar went so low that I would have had more money in my pocket had I decided to do month to month. I think
Right.
at the time I paid my rent at the time, well, up front. I think the rand to dollar at the time was, I want to say like 14 at the time when I paid it. But during COVID, it was 19 to 1. Can you imagine how
Oh my
much,
God, I did
how
see you.
much? Yes,
You were out there.
we were at
All
that
of y'all were
time.
out there.
We were balling at the time. That was the extra mimosa. Yes, extra guacamole.
Guacamole.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
you want a drink? One for my friend here because
Yes.
we had extra money. So now we're kind of
What's the conversion rate now?
conversion right now. I think today is 14.60.
Okay, so it went back to
So
14.
yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of going back. We'd like to say if it's over 15, we're okay. If we'd like to keep it over 15 as much as possible.
Okay. All right. Um, paid her in advance. And then when did you know it was time to start looking for a different place? And when did you know you wanted to buy a place? Two questions.
Um, I didn't know.
Okay.
So my first of all, I paid for 1 year lease, and let's see, that was from November to November, so 2019 November to November 2020. Well, June 2020, my landlord contacted me and she says, I want to sell my apartment. Um, but we can continue your lease until it's over since you've already paid. But I want to sell the apartment. If you would like to buy it, here's the price I'm willing to sell it to you for. And at that moment, I was like, hmm, I had no plans to buy an apartment here. No plans to buy property here. That was not on my radar. My radar was get out of the states, go live life, just pay the rent and be fine. So I decided at that moment, I was like, maybe I should look at buying a place. It just never crossed my radar to do so. So at that time, she sent me what her pricing was, and I looked at it and I thought about it, and I was thinking, what can I get for this price? So I started looking around. Next thing I know, I started looking online at the property websites, looked around to see what were the new developments, and started emailing um, uh, agencies, if you will, contacting new developments or whatever to find out what they had. And I was like, okay, maybe I should maybe I should look into this. So at that point, I just decided, maybe I should go. Maybe I should go because she wants to sell. My lease is ending in 5 months. Let me see how I can get out of this. And I think at that moment, that's when I decided, let me let me do this. And I actually ended up staying in my apartment an extra 6 months. So yeah, so I actually stayed a year and a half, which
Okay.
the second 6 months I actually paid month to month.
Okay. All right. Was that when you were 19? Was that around then? Or was
Hmm?
it back? I said, was that when you were getting around the 19 to 1 conversion rate, or were you back down?
We were back down. I think at that time we were probably around 16, 17
Okay.
at that time. So still
Yeah.
reasonable. Like I said, anything over 15 is a good time. But yeah, at that moment I just decided, okay, um, am I going to do this? Can I trust this process? Where am I going to do this? Where do I want to live? I've been so used to living in Santon. I was thinking, let me stay in this area, but Santon prices can be Sanson prices. So I'm like, let me look at places and see. So I just, again, came up with a list of requirements. Um, my requirement list was pretty, I would say it's pretty simple, pretty much the same thing I wanted here. I needed to have at this point either a washer and dryer connection, because I could always just buy a washer and dryer, put it in. Um, I did not want a house. So I should say this. I didn't want a house. A lot of people in South Africa, they love gigantic houses, 5 bedroom,
Behind the
four
fence.
bedroom houses
Yes.
with these gigantic
Mhm.
fences or what have you. But at the time it's just me. And I didn't want a 5 bedroom, four bathroom house when my travel schedule has me gone more than half the year, and I didn't want my house standing empty for so long. That's just too many risks, and I didn't want to take that risk. So a lot of people here, they do what they call lock up and goes. Lock up and goes are basically what they call apartments. You basically leave, lock up and go, and they're generally in security estates. So that was one thing for me. I needed to find something that was going to meet my lifestyle, that was going to be a secure place, a place that was going to be close to where I could walk to a store, which was the same requirements that I needed, unfurnished, because at this point I would be buying everything uh, at that point. So I, opted for an apartment, and I said a 1 bedroom apartment would be fine. Let me just say this: I, coming from America, I downsized. I had in the States a 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath, 3 story condo, and when I was living in my apartment, I had a 1 bedroom apartment that was under 500 square feet. So I got used to small living, if you will, small living, not having a lot of stuff. When I moved, I had 4 bags. I have even still, I haven't even used half the stuff that I brought. So I got used to um, just small living. So I was okay with a small apartment. 1 bedroom would be fine. If somebody wanted to come visit, hey, get a pull-out couch. That's fine. That would have been great. So that's what I decided to do, and I selected 3 apartments that I wanted to look at.
Okay. Um, I want to get back to the 3 apartments, but
Okay.
before we get there, I want to back up to something you said before, which was you weren't sure if you could trust the process. How did you get comfortable with trusting the process of buying property in South Africa?
I did a lot of research. Did a lot of research on how properties are purchased here, and there's so many different ways that you could do a property here. You could buy a property that obviously is something that's already built, or you could do a new development. Here in South Africa, when you are doing property here, everything is done legally. It goes through an attorney. You pay an attorney's office. So I figured, okay, if I can do this, I can trust the process to say, all right, I'm tied into a legal contract. I'm not just paying Joe Slow from down the street. It's an actual business, not just some fly by night operation. And there's some things that I saw here with other places that were kind of scary, where there was a new development that was being built across the street from where I was living in Santon. And that building, it was going to be a really nice, gorgeous apartment building. However, they sold, I think, all of the units and then decided not to build. And I was like, oh my gosh, these people have paid deposits. What happens now? And the website went away. I was like, wow. But excuse me, the people they did eventually end up getting their money back. But I'm glad I didn't have a situation where the builder decided to pull out of the contract. I think that particular building that I saw, it was in Santa, and the price for Santa, the price was probably too low. It was
Mhm.
at a low price point where they were like, you know what, we're not going to make any money. And the sad part was there were apartments that were already there where people were living there. They knocked them down. So it
Yeah.
was like, this is crazy. I was like,
That's
wow.
crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I think you bring up a good point, which is if you're in a country you don't know the legal system and you're not, no one's at, like, I am a former real estate lawyer. I am not fully acclimatized to all the real estate laws in the different states of the US. So I'm saying this as someone who would experience this even in the US. Going into, but I understand the legal system in the US generally, right?
Mhm.
But going to another country and buying a property, there's so many risks that one you may never fully understand, right? And the recourses you have, the ability to get your money back, right?
Mhm.
You need to understand what that looks like before you go out there because, child, like for the South Africans who are in that situation, I feel like they would have had a bit of a, I'm going to call it an intellectual advantage at this point, right? Like probably not a financial advantage. I'm not claiming that, but I am saying that if they have an understanding of what the risks are and what the laws are, that's one thing. But I see a lot of people buying, like, I'm going to another country, got to buy a piece of property. And it's like, if you don't know what you don't know, it could take you like 4 years to get your money back. And you might never know
Mhm.
that because you didn't do that part of the research. When
Mhm.
I'm here the other day, someone's talking to me about a new build here and it's in my neighborhood and it's great. You should get into it. And I was like, mm, 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 no. Because if I gotta sue someone in Mexico, like that's just not.
Mhm.
I'm not looking forward to that, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so there are risks that go along with things like they're pretty, but there are risks that go along with things like new builds
Mhm.
and risks of like fraudulent sales if you don't know what you're
Mhm.
doing with
Right.
with existing construction. So people, I want people to be really, really cautious when they go into a country and buy property and do the research and hire reputable people to help them because there's also a lot of that in Facebook groups. Like, tell me everything you know about buying property in this area. And like, you don't want to get your, like, if you're spending tens of thousands of dollars, tens
Mhm.
of thousands of US dollars, get you a local expert. Get a local expert,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
don't think you're gonna save money by winging it because I promise you, you won't.
No, no, you won't. And that's a really great point there. Especially, like I said, for me, I looked at the process and you look at the documents that they have, it explains everything. It even lets you know what date will happen. This is what, if we decide not to build, this is when you'll get your money back. It's all listed in the contracts where you really need to read things. And there are some things that I'm sure we'll talk about it when we get to that point where um, I have made some mistakes even in this purchase that I didn't realize. And so I'm like, what? You want me to do what? What? So, but you learn these as you go.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna stop preaching for a second and let's get back to the story. You were looking at
Okay.
three places.
Yes.
How did you decide between those three places?
Okay. Well, I can tell you, one of the places was a place that was in Pretoria. It was a brand new. Uh, Let me just say this. Number one, I decided to go with brand new construction. My house in California, when I purchased that, it was brand new construction, and I just decided, okay, brand new construction, chances are high. I've got a warranty. I have brand new house warranty. Whatever appliances are in the house will also have, the warranty as well. You can monitor the process, see your house being built, and you can, stand out there. Because I admit, I would come out and be like, does that look right? I don't know. I'm an engineer by degree, but not this type. I'm aerospace, not a building engineer. I'm just like,
Right.
does that look right? You could come out, they will, show you the site. So I decided, let me do that. So I looked at three places. One place was in Pretoria. Beautiful place, but I decided most of my life is here in the Johannesburg area. Do I want to be going back and forth between Pretoria and a Johannesburg area? And at the time, I didn't have a car, and I'm thinking, I started doing the math, and I said, well, how much is it going to cost me to get from here to here? And I was like, to be doing this several times a week, and that means I'd have to change my trainers. I would no longer have to do this. Well, my favorite restaurant is here. Do I want to? No. And I said, no, I can't do that. Um,
And
look
your
at
man was in
listen.
Johannesburg. And your
Yeah,
man.
well, I mean, I was willing to branch out.
Okay.
So
All right now.
willing to branch out. So that was one thing. And the second place I looked at, it was actually maybe about 5 minutes or so away from where I was living in Santon. It was also part of Santon. And that building, for what I looked at it online, and I made phone calls to the agency, and they never called me back. They never called me back. They didn't respond to my emails, nothing. And I was like, do I want to live somewhere and the people are not receptive in the buying phase? If you're not receptive to me in the buying phase, you're certainly not going to be receptive to me if I'm telling you, my sink is broken, or you didn't put this balcony door on correctly, or whatever. And I was like, this is probably not a good sign.
I'm gonna pause you real quick right there. It reminds me of the fact of like what I say about interviews. Like interviews are the honeymoon stage. If it ain't right in the interview, it's never gonna get better. If the buying stage is that honeymoon stage, right? If
Mhm.
the buying stage, if the interest, right? If they can't respond to your interest, that's the best it's ever gonna be, right? Like that's when they're most invested in you because they want to get your money. If if they can't respond to you when you're in the buying stage, you would have been like, the ceiling has the ceiling has fallen
Fell
in,
down.
and they'll be like, okay, girl, well, in 3 months, fill out
Mhm.
these two forms, and in 3 months we'll come out and do something,
Right,
right?
right.
Um, so
Yeah,
yeah, no,
definitely.
that's definitely
Hmm.
that's definitely a bad sign.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so one was too far,
Hmm.
one was unresponsive, and the other
Hmm.
one was
So
just right.
the third place I went to, I I'm laughing because I called my ex fiance and I was like, listen, take me out here to this place, and we went. We're friends. We're still friends to this day. It's not a big deal. We're mature, so it's fine. So we went out to the place to look at their model units, and I stepped in the model, and I was like, "This is it. This is it. This is it." Excuse me. This is it. I looked at the design. It looks like they were, very well built. My Let me say this. I'm going to say this just because this is me. I like the fact that my realtor was black. I like to do black business as much as I can on this continent, so I was excited about that. So when I walked in, I felt like, okay, this place can be home. It's close to stores that I shop at. It's close to a restaurant that I was going to a lot. It's a walkable neighborhood. I know it sounds strange. They do have some walkable neighborhoods here in this area. Security looked great. The design was fine. I was like, okay, the price point looks like I think I can. I think I can do this. So I opted to purchase this particular place. So yeah,
Is
but
it a
go
one
ahead.
bedroom again?
Well, funny story. Um, my original plan was to sign for a one-bedroom unit. So I decided to put down a deposit for a one-bedroom unit, is what I decided to do. And for whatever reason, I needed to make here. Let me just say this: when you're purchasing a new place, they require you to put down a deposit. The deposit isn't a lot. Depending on the place, it's anywhere between 10,000 to 20,000 rands. So 10,000 rand is about $690 or so. So 20,000 rands, about what, 14, 15,000, I'm sorry, 14, $1,500. So I did a bank transfer to transfer the money into my account so I could make a transfer to their attorneys. And for whatever reason, my money never transferred. It just never transferred. I just kept trying and trying and trying. It would never transfer. I was like, what in the world is wrong with this? It never transferred. So I ended up canceling the transfer and sending the transfer through another route. And the money arrived on a Friday night. I have a personal policy not to do any financial dealings at night. Um, I don't know where that came from. I just don't do money at night. I mean, if it's transfer money, no. PayPaling, no. If I need to pay a vendor of my business at night, I just don't do it. You have to wait till the next day. That's just my policy. So I received the money on a Friday night, and I was like, well, my policy says I can't make this transfer until the next day. So the next morning, I received a text message from the apartment uh, email list or whatever you call it, and excuse me, it said, "Hey, excuse me, it's like we have some two bedrooms that are on sale," and I was like, "On sale?" So I did the math, and I was like, okay, this is more than I want to spend, but it's two bedrooms, and okay, maybe somebody will come and visit, or it's a room for me to throw my extra stuff in or whatever. So I decided, okay, let me go for the two bedroom. I ended up redoing the paperwork and switching over to the two bedroom unit, which shockingly, it was going to be ready 1 year earlier than the other unit that I originally planned to purchase. So that's what I opted for. And I actually saved money because the unit was discounted.
Okay, so it sounds like all those failed transfers happened for a reason.
I like to say it was my mommy saying, this is not yours.
Not yours. Wait a little bit.
Yes.
Wait a little bit.
Excuse me.
All right, so I'm gonna do this in U.S. dollars, $700 to $1,400 for what you were looking at.
Hmm.
That's the average down. You said deposit. Is that also
Deposit.
down payment, or is that different?
Um, it's different because what they require here is you make a deposit, not a down payment. So, and I guess I don't know how you want to talk about this. There's a few ways that you can buy a house here, and I went what I'm going to call the easiest way, which was a cash purchase way. So there you go again.
Listen,
So
big money, honey.
where is the big one? I don't know where it is. So,
All right, all right.
where? So I decided, to do this, to do it the cash purchase way. And if you want, can I explain the different ways to do it here?
Yes, I'd love it if you did. Thank you.
Okay. Here in South Africa, number one, you can do a cash purchase, or you can get a bond. A bond here is what we call a mortgage. Um, Cash purchase, what they require, you make your initial deposit of 10,000 rand or 20,000 rand, which is roughly $700 to $1,400. That's the first thing. If you're cash paying, I believe within the first, I can't remember. I think you have to pay. Then you make a deposit, a down payment of 20%. That 20%, I think that has to be done. I want to say within 30 to 60 days after you sign the sales agreement, the purchase agreement, and you make the full payment, the rest of the payment 6 months before your the handover date. So if your handover date is June, you make your last payment in December. However, I didn't do that. So I actually made my last payment roughly 2 months prior to the date. And the reason I think I was able to do that was because I had been paying, what I did was I played the rate game because I needed to transfer money from my US accounts
Mhm.
into my South African accounts. So I would wait. When the rates were high, I'd move money. When the rates were low, I waited. I waited until they went up, and then I transferred. And I told the attorney, I said, listen, you'll get your money when these rates drop. When they are in my favor, I'll move it. And they were like, no problem, Miss Williams. It's fine, whatever, because they know the money was coming. I had already committed to making a purchase and putting so much into it that they know there's no way I was going to do this with and leave this much money on the table. It's like, no, they knew I was going to finish the purchase. So I did it that route. Another way to do a purchase here in South Africa, you can do with the bond payment. The thing about a bond payment here in South Africa, it depends on what type of visa you have. If you don't have a visa here, or you're not a permanent resident here, or you do not have a work permit here, you can get a bond of 50%. So you still have to come up with 50% of the house purchase, and they can give you a bond now, or the mortgage here. However, the downside of that is in the States, you can get a mortgage for 30 years, 25 years, but 30 is typical. Here is 20 years. And the other thing, the interest rate. The interest rate here is about 8%. And that's a deal right now. It was 10% before COVID. So in the States, I don't know what rates are now. I imagine anywhere between 2 to 4%, I think, for a house. But here, 8%, and that's a deal. Uh-uh. There are other ways you can do this. And I was like, no, I don't want to do this. I'm better off just doing this the old fashioned way, just paying it that way and just paid it up until it was time.
You said if you have a visa, you can get a bond. Like you're a permanent resident. You can get a bond.
Well, I could get one too, but it depends on a few things. Even if you're not, if you do have a permanent residency, if you have permanent residency, they can actually fund you 100%. They can
Okay.
also fund you 100% if you have like a permanent work permit. You can be funded 100%. However, I think most people fall in the temporary range where they may have like a 4-year visa or a 3-year visa or something like that, where they will give you 50% of the funds. So that's an option there.
All right. Um, I want to talk about your retirement visa. It's on my list. I've got
Okay.
notes and notes and notes.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that a little later, but I want to keep continuing right now on the money front.
Hmm.
You paid in cash,
Hmm.
but do you know if the bond process is very difficult for the average immigrant?
My ex actually has a bond here, and he's from another country, so
Okay.
he has a bond here for 20 years. However, what they're looking for a bond is you need to have a minimum. The house that you purchase has to be a minimum of 600,000 rand, but 600,000 rand is really like 41,000 US dollars. So that's the minimum bond that you can get. You have to show that you have income of at least 25,000 rand. That's about 1,700 US dollars. And you have to go through the process. And that process, I remember his process took a few months. So it was a lengthy process, but he was approved and he's in his new house now. So it takes a while. I think if you for someone that does not have like has residency, just someone just say, hey, I'm just coming in, it's probably really hard because they need to make sure that you're not a runaway person, if you will, because how can they prove that you actually want to make this payment, although you're paying 50%? What about the other 50%? They need to make sure that you can make these payments.
Okay. So a level of underwriting that we're used to in the US,
It's
basically.
a lot of underwriting. Even I'm laughing about this now because I don't need a credit card here in South Africa. However, I want to get one just to establish credit here, and they would not give me one because they were like, they consider me a risk because I don't have a work permit, although I have a residency visa here that's good for 4 years. I'm considered a risk, although they can look at my bank account and see there's money there. She's made payments, she's bought a house, but she's still a risk. So I think it's harder when you don't have a work permit.
So even though you already have your house, they were still like, "Nah, girl."
They said no. And I said, can you just give me 1,000 rand? 1,000 rand is what, $70. Give me that. I'll just pay it off every month. And they were like, no. Their underwriter said no.
Is credit is it an economy that relies on credit heavily? Like, do you have a credit score in South Africa? And if so, is it very important to everyday life?
Um, for me personally, well, I have no established credit here. But this is a really good point that you brought up, because when I applied for my apartment here when I first moved here, they asked me for my credit score, and I was like, my credit score in the States, you need it in South Africa. It's not even the same system. I think I just made up a number and said, here, go with that.
Okay, so they did ask you for your U.S. credit score.
They did.
Okay.
They did.
But there is a separate South African credit. You're trying to build credit in South Africa because they have a credit scoring system. Is it the same kind of like numerical system, or is it different in some way?
I believe it is. I just don't know exactly what the system is.
Okay, that's fair. But because you had no South African credit, they asked you about your U.S. credit.
Yes.
Has your big money Kenna? I'm gonna ask another question. All right. Because I know you've bought something else. You've bought a car since you've been here.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Was it a cash purchase as well, or did they have to? Did your credit come up again?
I did a cash purchase for the car. However, I believe with the car they would have allowed me to do a credit purchase. However, again, the interest rates were high. And another thing here, in the States, we say cash is king. Cash is not king here. Here, when you're buying things, they will actually give you a lower price if you decide to do it on credit versus cash, because the more interest you're paying, the more money they're willing to make. So when I was buying my car, I contacted like 20 different dealerships, and I said, "This is the car that I want. Give me your best price. I'm paying cash. I'm paying for whoever gives me the best deal." And people were quoting me the price that was on the sticker. And I'm thinking, I'm paying you cash. What is your problem?
Right.
And they were like, no, we prefer that you finance and we'll give you a better deal. Because here, when you finance cars, you have a huge balloon payment at the end, which I think most people probably don't make. So you can repossess the car. And I was like, no, I'm not falling into this.
Okay. So you could get a bond for half of your home purchase.
Yes, 50%.
You could get a loan for a car, but you could not get a $70 credit card?
That's correct.
Okay, well, we have to get used to the systems in the countries where we live, right? Like that's what it is. Did you have any interest in, or did you consider financing the car or the home, even at the crappy rate, to establish credit? Or did you not realize that establishing credit would be so hard at that time?
At the time, I didn't even think about it because I bought my car last year, so I didn't even consider it at all. However, you just made me think about something, and I'm always revealing stuff on your show. You know that? So I am actually in the process of a second real estate purchase. So with that purchase, I'm thinking, let me get a bond with the second one to see how it goes, but turn around and pay it off right away just to establish the credit. I'm here to see if I can actually do that. So I think that's my next step.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to mind my business, but that's not what we do here, so it's gonna be hard.
It's always with you. It's always with you.
It's a safe space. I'm claiming it. It's a safe. Tell your friends, everybody. Tell your friends. It's a safe space. Come through and tell me all your business. All right. So, with the second purchase, is
Mhm.
the goal to be a landlord? What's the goal of the second property?
Um, I don't know where this came from, but when I first came here, I do travel, so I decided to um stick with that. But I'm getting old. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to, hey, on these trips. So I decided when I first came here, I don't know where this came from, but I said, I think I want to be a real estate mogul. So what I've done is I'm very fortunate for the community that I built here. And where I'm living now, we have a community of owners and investors. So that particular community, they have been very helpful, giving me information, how things work in this country, how you can negotiate, and so forth. So um, I started looking and said, okay, can I do this? Can I make this happen? And I got an email last month from my from the person that sold me my last apartment, and I just said, hmm. They said, oh, why don't you come to this open house? So I decided, let me go to this open house to see what was going on. And let me tell you, open houses at brand new places here in South Africa, you will swear you're in a VIP section. You walk in, there's bartenders handing you gin and tonic cocktails. There's caviar all over the place. Those little salmon pinwheel, whatever. They've got the VIP section with the couches out. I mean, you swear you're like, what did I just walk into? So I didn't have any intentions to purchase, but I was thinking, you said to yourself, this is what you want to do. Um, this may mean you may need to eat a little beans and rice for a little bit, but
She ain't
can
eating
you
beans
make
nor rice, y'all. Don't lie to you. But
so
okay.
I, so I said, okay, let me see if I can make this a reality. So I decided to. At this point, I paid a deposit, the deposit on that, and signed a sales agreement. However, we've got a little bit of things going on with that particular unit right now. It's also a new construction. It's also the same builder that built my place. It's the same builder that I'm buying from. That particular builder here in this country is like um, a really top notch builder. They're doing a lot here in neighborhoods that are, I'm saying, okay, this particular place that I'm just did this deposit is in Rosebank. So if you know Rosebank, you know exactly what this is. So I was like, let me do this. Let me do this and let me see how this will work. Um, I don't know what I'm going to do with a unit. I don't know if it's going to be Airbnb. I don't know if it's going to be a rental. If it's I'm mad at my husband. I'm going over to the other house today. I don't know what this unit will be yet, but
I,
it's go ahead.
I'm already reserving my time. I'm trying to get appointments. I'm
Well,
gonna send her a message a minute while we're doing this. Like, these are my dates in the new property.
well, this was it's not even again brand new
Um,
construction. It's not even built. They haven't even broke ground.
and I'm not
Um,
coming to South Africa anytime soon. But when I do, I'm telling you, these are my dates.
well, they're saying 2024. So, and I looked at it and I was like, okay, I think I should be able to have this much money by this particular time. I think I can make this happen. This builder has a really good track record in this country. They have built a lot of things. And also, I'm going to be honest with you. One of my neighbors that lives in my building is somebody famous here. And he and we have both done promotional videos for this particular builder. So when I went to the launch of the other place, I noticed he was there, and I said, "So I see that you are buying here. So everywhere that man goes has been turned into gold." So I'm like this.
Where you
I'm
going? I'm
following.
going.
Where you're going, I'm going. I'm following you. So I noticed that he bought a few units there, and I'm thinking, okay. So I asked him. I said, "Where are we going next? Where are we taking our money next?" He just started laughing. I said, "I'm gonna call you." He gave me his number, so hopefully we will connect so I can see um, how to do this. Again, I'm just a beginner in this, still learning the process, the ropes, and I'm actually there's something else I want to do here. I know I did not plan to talk about this, but let me mention it now. They have groups here. We have them in the States, but they have groups here because they call them, I think they're called Stockvilles or Stockville. Um, these are groups of people that buy properties as a unit, and they basically go invest in units, and then there's a profit or dividend given back to each other. So there is an investor that she has a unit in my building. She has other units, but this lady, she buys big units, like a place that may have 100 apartments or what have you. So I am thinking about doing something with her, maybe joining their Stockville to see, with the. But I'll tell you this, Stockvilles can be tricky, from what I've been told. So I'm willing to take the risk with a small amount of money. That if I lose it, okay, I tried it. So I want to try one Stockville to see how it works.
Okay. Um, so Miss Ma'am claims to be a fake South African socialite, but I believe if you've been paying attention, she all up in the video. She all up in the sales video. She's getting numbers of the celebrities doing the big money moves. I hear it. I tell you, this is why I say she's going boop, 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 and I'm going boop, boop, boop right behind her. I'm right behind her doing the boop, boop, boop right behind her. Like, yes, ma'am, wherever you go, paying attention. Goodness, there was something you said earlier. You were looking at a new property. It's in Rosebank. It's open in 2024. It'll be built in 2024. Something I wanted to ask you about. What was it? I'm so excited about property number 2, though. Wait, actually, this is property number 3, right? Did you sell your house in California?
I still have my house in California, so I guess that would be number 3.
Okay.
I still have my house there. I have not decided to sell that house, although I keep looking at how the house prices are, but I'm not ready to do it.
Okay. Oh, I know. It was someone else's question. Hi, friends. Okay. So people need to have their credit right when they decide to move out of the U.S. I think this is a yes and no answer for me. Kina, I'll let you give your answer. Go for it.
Hi, Nubiette. I will say, at least in South Africa, I don't think that your credit really matters here. They don't really care what your credit looks like here. I think for here, they just want to make sure you have resources, whether you are, having money in the bank account there, you have savings that you built up, you may have some retirement accounts, you may have something that maybe a deceased relative have left you. Basically, I think that's all they really care about. I like to say other countries, they don't care about your credit score. They really care about, can you make this payment? Can you pay this bond? Can you pay for this? That's mainly what they're looking for. Or can you qualify for it? If you're working in this country, it obviously would be a lot easier. But again, looking at the bond rates here, they're just too high.
Okay. So, and someone else in the comments, I believe, said that they were asked about their U.S. credit score somewhere else. So my answer is yes and no, because I in Mexico, no one has ever cared about my credit score, but I'm also not trying to buy anything, and I don't know what would happen if I did. I don't want to buy a car. I haven't tried to open a credit card. I'm not buying property. But if you don't know what your future goals are, I hear people like, just run up some loans and then leave the U.S.
No.
Maybe don't do that. And maybe I'm not saying that to you. This is kind of my general take on things I see happening online. I hear people say like, well, your credit doesn't matter. Your U.S. credit doesn't matter outside of the U.S. So, just get some unsecured money and just bounce, or like never pay those loans off, or never do. Baby, you never gonna know why you need to go back to the U.S. You never know what will happen, why you might need to. I pray you never have to. Once you leave the U.S., I pray. I don't even want to go back on vacation. But I pray you don't have to go back to the U.S. But if you do, you're going to be mad, right? Because did you use the money for the absolute necessities? Or were you like, I have extra money, there's no consequence, I'm a extra guac, right? Like if you spend that money on extra guac, you're going to be mad when you go back to the U.S. and your credit is trash.
Right.
On the other hand,
especially if you want a job.
because jobs check your credit score.
They
So,
do. They do. They do.
and so that's a really shitty system. I'm gonna say
Hmm.
it. Jobs checking your credit scores. I do not like it, but it exists, right? And so, what do we do about it? We play within the rules we're given, right? This is what we have to deal with. But yeah, don't go ahead and think that my credit score doesn't matter outside of the US. So I'm going to like trash my credit score because
Yes.
you
Keep
could
it
go
intact.
somewhere and your feelings could get hurt. Like
Hmm.
if the South African company who asked Kina about her credit score actually checked it and saw that it was a different number, she might not be where she is right now, right?
Hmm.
Like these things might matter. But I see people, not y'all, because I know y'all wouldn't do this. But I see people in groups talking about, just take the money and run. And I'm like, ooh, baby.
Mm-mm.
And then you said it ahead of time in a public space. Ooh.
Never.
Ooh. Ooh, it's not just like an accidental, I didn't pay you. It's like fraud because you're admitting it.
Hmm.
Don't do this. Don't do this. Um, okay. Okay, I've been collecting all of your comments. Hi, Tiffany. I've been collecting all of your comments, so we're going to get back to all the questions. Actually, this might be a good break for questions. Let's do this now. And we're like, they just want bank statements proving you have a certain amount of cash available, not investment accounts. That's interesting, but it's bank statements because who keeps their money? Like, I would tell you not to keep your money in banks, but apparently in France you need to. So, all right. Let me pop this, and then Yvette. Karma has a passport too. Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Excuse me.
Mm. Oh, wait, what's going on? Let's get that out of here. Okay, let me go back to the questions that were asked. Do you have any favorite sites to look at property?
Yes, here in South Africa, we have sites that I look at a lot. Prop 24 and private property, and it's .co.za, or as we say here, .co.za. Those are two sites that I like to look at. Both sites, what they will show you is they will show you like all of the new development, and you can just go look and put different prices in. You can put in whatever criteria you're looking for: 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, how many bathrooms you're looking for, what other amenities you want to pool or what have you. You can just look at that. If you want to look at a house, an apartment, duplex, you can see it all on both of those sites. And actually, I found my first apartment um, before I moved here was actually on privateproperty.co.za on that website.
Okay, so I just put the link for Property 24, and then the other one was Private Property.
It's I think it's prop24.co.za. We don't know no .coms out here.
Oh, well, then that's the wrong place. Let me go ahead
Let
and
me look
delete
really
that.
quick.
Let me go ahead and delete that.
Let me look.
I think they have a. Oh. My only options, I went to delete it. My only options are to put user in timeout or block user. And I'm like, what would happen if I blocked myself during my own live? What would.
Okay, you're right. You're right. It's right. It's
It is
it's
right?
property24.com. So that is correct.
Okay.
So
Now
that's one site you can look at, and then the other one is
I'm dropping the link.
privateproperty.co.za.
Okay. Yeah, I'm dropping the link for that one now. It's
Okay,
got some green on it.
yeah. And another thing is, I laugh about this. I know Facebook and Google, they like to listen to you or they like to look at your searches. So I always see a lot of the new home developments popping up on my Facebook. So that's how I found out about a lot of places. And here they post in certain neighborhoods, if you know where you want to purchase, if you drive in the neighborhoods, they have the billboards all over the places with the prices. So you can see exactly this place is built right here. This is the price, contact number here. Come here to our open house, blah, 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 whatever. You will see all of that pretty much in every neighborhood, even the neighborhood where I live. If you drive off the highway, there's a huge sign showing you here it is. You want to invest, contact this number. So they do a very good job of advertising real estate here. And oh, when I'm talking about real estate, let me also mention this to people. I also like to look at auctions. So here in South Africa, you will find a lot of auctions, a lot of auctions. And last month, I actually went to go look at an auction unit just for fun. Um, Not to buy, but just for fun, just to look at what kind of condition is this unit in. If I were to purchase it, what do I need to do to it? And also, it gives me a little bit more information. So I like to actually sit in auctions just to see, that property went for this much. So if I see something, okay, it should be this amount or what have you. So I do that. So I'm subscribed to like every auction website here, from Oh Yes Auctions to High Street Auctions to so many in here. So that's another way to find things. And actually, I'm laughing about this. The unit that I was interested in before I picked my particular place, they had an auction, an auction of the unit, and I went to the auction and I was like, "Why didn't this unit sell?" So I contacted the listing agent and I said, "Hey, what's wrong with this place? Is somebody down here? What's wrong with this place?" So she called me. She actually called me back. This is with the auction, not the original people that did not call me. And she says, "Why don't you come and take a look at it?" So I went to go look at it, and I saw it, and I was like, "I see exactly why it did not sell." It was tiny, tiny, tiny. However, it would have been a great Airbnb with someone that has a great design eye. I could see that it would have been a great property, but it was listed for too much.
Okay. I think what I'm picking up is that you have more information about the South African real estate market than we can really get into right now. So, how can someone pay you to pick your brain?
You can always contact me. If you send me a message, probably the easiest way to contact me is probably most people hit me up on Instagram, just me, Kina, and that's just me, Kenna, or you can email me at Kina, Kenna, at Kina, Kenna, L Williams with two L's, LLC.com. You can contact me there.
Okay. And when they get there and they want to ask you all of these questions, there's a way for them to pay you.
Always.
Okay. All right. Okay. Because I'll be giving people's information if you're just doing, if you're just going to be out here stressed out because people are messaging you all day. All right.
It's all good.
Let's do this. More questions. I'm getting to your questions. Let's see. We did this one. Oh, you just mentioned price. Let's get right into this.
Okay, average cost of 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in USD and average monthly HOA. Okay, hi Emoja. I would say it depends, just like in the States, it depends on the neighborhood. It really depends on the neighborhood. However, so glad that you asked. I can tell you in a really good neighborhood for, not necessarily for a new unit, you can probably get something new, not new, but you can get something that's, I don't want to say gently used, but older house, 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo, USD, in let's say Morningside, which is a suburb of Santon, you can probably get something for about, I'm gonna say 90 to 100,000 US. Now I mentioned that I looked at something at an auction, and I can actually tell you what I looked at. I looked at a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. It was a second floor condo, and it was on auction. Now the auction price wasn't a real price, but I have a feeling that nobody bought that property. And that property on auction, give me 1 second, I can tell you what it was listed at. 1 second. In US dollars, based off today's currency, that unit would have gone for about 62,000.
Okay. I'm gonna flash it back to one of my questions that I forgot to ask before while we're in y'all's questions time. But I had a question. You talked about buying cash. You talked about the process for buying cash for a new build, but what's the process for buying cash for an already for existing construction? Is it just like cash up front, like all the cash up front, or is there something more complicated there?
I think you have roughly about 30 to 45 days to pull that cash together, because I think it will take you a while to even do the paperwork, do the transfer process, which I should mention, transfer process is basically just transferring it into your name. Some places they will include it into the fee where you're not paying it. Other places you're paying it um, directly. Like where I'm living now, I did not have to pay it, and the new place I'm buying, I will have to pay it, but it's not a lot. It's not a lot of money for that. So it's pretty much the same, just 30 to 45 days to pull the cash together. So if you're coming in now wanting to buy an already existing property, you need to be able to pull the cash right away. And you also need to have, there's a lot of disclosures that you have to do. Disclosures because unfortunately, there's money laundering. Just be real. There's a lot of money laundering, money washing, or whatever, in different places. So with that, you definitely need to show. They want to know where this money came from. So if it was money that you had in a retirement account, if it was something that you had in a savings account, you have to submit so much documentation to show that you're not here just washing money, if you will. So they ask a lot of questions, and there's like paperwork that you have to sign saying this is where it came from. I'm not doing certain things or whatever. So there's a huge process for that.
All right, let me see. Ba, 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 ba. A fun question.
Oh,
So, if you guys don't know, Kina is a trip wizard. If you go with her, she says she's too old for the up all night. But if you go with her on a trip, because I have experienced this, it will be an up all night extravaganza of elegance. Elegance. Um, okay, so what's going on this year? What do you have planned? What are you in? What is
um,
still open for booking?
right now we have. Well, I can tell you what we have for this year. We have Panama, we have Colombia, we have Fiji, Morocco. Those are actually full at the moment. But Dubai, I've got a group of about 400 for Dubai, so I do have some space on Dubai. Don't shake your head like that.
No, okay, so I'm gonna hop in this conversation real quick. I don't know if you know this, but I went to on her Dubai trip on the 6th month, I think, of my career break. And I'd been up and through parts of the world where people weren't speaking a lot of English and I wasn't seeing a lot of Black people. I got to Dubai and saw hundreds of Black people together. And I was like, Mama, I'm home. Like it was it was such a pivotal part of my trip. Also because my friend was supposed to go and she dropped out of the last minute. She was like, you want the spot for free? And I was like, yes, and thank you. So it wasn't an expected thing. All I had to do was kind of get myself to Dubai, and I got myself to Dubai, and I was like, not only is this an amazing experience, but it made me realize how important to me in my round the world journey, how nurturing and how important it was for me to see Black Americans, right? And how much that filled my tank for the rest of the experience. Because when you're going around the world, seeing people who, it's lovely to see new things and do new things and have great experiences, but not seeing anybody who grew up watching the same TV shows as I did for like 6 months it's a long time, right? And so hearing English coming out of the mouths of Black people was like, it was truly a pivotal part in my journey and my career break. And I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but like, I think if it wasn't for Dubai, I might have stopped earlier. I might have stopped my journey a lot earlier if it wasn't for that experience in Dubai. So when she says 400 Black, once it's 400 people, I'm like, I remember that, and it was really important. I needed it. I didn't know I needed it. I didn't know that hearing English was what I was missing. I didn't know that seeing Black people was what I was missing. Black Americans was what I was missing until I got there, and I was like, oh, this means more to me than I realized. I didn't know I was missing it until then. So totally off topic, but
No worries.
you
Sounds
know,
good.
we're sharing. It's our sharing circle. It's our sharing.
Yes.
All right. So, if they want to go to Dubai with you, because like I said, a lot for me. Woo, I needed it. The link, KeenaLWilliamsLLC.com is where to go, right?
Yeah, that's fine. You can cut or hit me up on Instagram at just me, Keena, Kenna.
And I dropped the link to her IG in the comments. All right.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, what else do we have here? I think you already answered this question, but do you have a South African bank account?
Yes, I do have a South African bank account because there are some places here in South Africa that don't take U.S. cards, and a lot of vendors here they only take what they call EFTs, which is a transfer directly into their account. I don't like it that way, but I understand because people need their money. You get it to them right away.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to open a Mexican account, but this week I'm thinking about it. I started thinking about it because there's so many things I go to and they're like, either go to the bank itself and make a deposit in my account, or if you have a local bank account, just transfer from your bank to my bank. And I'm like, I have to leave the house? Like to sign up for an online thing, like to do this online thing, I have to leave the house to sign. So I don't want a local bank, but I might open one. Yes. Yeah, I think that's another thing that we don't talk about enough. Like there are definite benefits. Most of the times I find that unless the government is making you open one for your visa purposes, because of how banking works and because of the ways we can transfer money, it's usually unnecessary, but often very convenient to have a local bank account. So
yeah,
my 2 cents. I don't want to do it, but all right. Is it important to you to research the builder before purchasing?
Definitely research the builder. Find out what their track record is. Find out if they've been sued before. Here in South Africa, I will tell you, if you type in a builder, you can go to any of the sites. You can see, even on the 2 sites that Rashida posted, like the Property 24 site and Private Property site, you can see the different builders and their new projects. Once you find out who they are, you can look. You can look and see, what their track record is. If there's been an issue where the investors or the homeowners have been fighting or anything like that, because there was a place in Pretoria where there was an issue and the homeowners, they won. So you can find these type of things pretty easily here, but it's definitely important to research the builder the same way you would do it back home, same way you can do it here. Google goes so far here, you can find pretty much anything you want, or just start asking local people, like maybe in the area that you're looking at, and they'll tell you the truth.
Okay. All right. Fun times.
Okay. Go ahead. Well, this is a great question. The question says, what is the demographic of people buying new houses? Can Black South Africans, professionals, or families afford them? This is a really, really, really good question. I'm going to say the average Black South African professional or family, they can. I look at the people that are in my particular place now. From what I've been told, 70% of the owners or investors in this particular place where I'm living, they are Black South Africans. So I've got one of my neighbors has a penthouse here. There's other people here that are there's one guy here, he's a Black investor. He has 10 units in this particular building. These are people that they are professionals. They may have worked in the scientific engineering. My neighbor is an attorney. So you've got a lot of different South African professionals here that are buying here. Now, you do have some investors that are coming from overseas or other countries or what have you. But in this building, from what I've been told, it's 70%.
Okay. All right. So I feel like we always want to talk a little bit about gentrification.
Let's do it.
But there's like, all right, Let's talk about it. Are you seeing the impact of gentrification in Johannesburg?
Um, mm, yes and no. You will see some areas here in South Africa that have been revitalized. Like, take a look at Mabanang. Mabanang is one of those areas that is probably been revitalized. It's not what it used to be many years ago. However, in that, you will see a lot of the businesses there. They're still owned by local people. There's a bakery down there that's a black owned. There's a lot of shops. I bought a pair of shoes down there from a black owned shop. So you will still see, although the area may have, let me just say, new wallpaper, new paints, what have you, it's been spruced up to look nice. You still see some of the same people that own shops there. They're still owning those shops. Fashion District in, I think that's Hillbrow, same thing. These are a lot of places that are still black owned businesses.
Okay. Um, do you think, do you hear complaints about local South Africans being priced out of housing?
Um, I don't hear that. Actually, I think housing pricing now, because of COVID, I think prices are probably lower than what they used to be. And also with the interest rate, I know we say it's high, but for South Africans, this is actually low because January, February 2020, the rate was 10%. And now we're down at 8. So people now are like, hey, the rate is at 8%. Let us buy a house. And maybe with the rate being at this level, you can probably buy a little bit bigger house or what have you because the rate is so low. So I can't say that I'm seeing it priced out. Now there's a lot of inventory. I'll tell you that there's a lot of inventory. And houses in South Africa, this is another thing. Depending on where it's located and depending on what the seller is like, houses can sit on the market for a year or longer. My apartment that I lived at in Santon, it went up for sale in June of 2020. I moved out in May, the end of May 2021. The entire time I was there, nobody came to visit the place. No one inquired. Nothing the entire time. So that can tell you something. But I think in that case, um, I think my landlord was not willing to budge on pricing, even though I was seeing other units going for 400, 500,000 rand less than her unit. I guess she wasn't that motivated to sell. So people will hold on to properties for a long time. I have another friend here. She was looking to purchase a house a couple of years ago. I think the price at the time was like 1.5 million rand, which is just about $100,000. That person's house ended up on the auction block and selling for half the amount. So it's kind of weird. It's really weird. You really need to understand what the dynamics are about real estate in another country. It's like, how long does it sit on the market? Which, how long does it sit on the rental market? How long does it take before it will move? Are people even looking at things? Are you flexible in pricing and so forth? And another thing, I know we didn't mention this, is what we kind of mentioned is I think you also have to look at, why do you even want a house in this place? Is it just because we want to come in and take over, which I see that mentality, or hey, I really need a place. And for me, it turns out to be cheaper to buy than to rent long term. So that's something to look at.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times we're just transporting the American idea that like home ownership is the highest and best use of our money without thinking about whether you want it. And for a lot of us, homeownership was terrible in the US, and I wouldn't expect it to be any like different anywhere else, right? Like, especially them like an actual house with a yard. Child, I was in Ohio, like, is it going to snow every year? I tried cutting my grass the first like 2 years, and I was like, no. Every week I must cut this grass in like the 90-degree weather and stuff. No, it's not.
That's why you hire somebody to do that.
Quickly. I was like, who will come do
Yes.
this? Because I'm not.
Yes.
And thank goodness I didn't have sidewalks because I was not shoveling snow.
Yes.
Like Me and my SUV will get over the snow on this driveway, and anything else is not my problem. I'm not shoveling nothing, nothing. So yeah, I think um, the idea that you have like renting is somehow less than buying really has a lot of Americans warped. Like it's not, it's a really hard mindset to get out of it. So if you have it now, no judgment. But like
Yeah,
we don't all want the same things. And so
that's
the
true.
idea that like if you're wasting your money by renting is so flawed. I don't see it in other countries. I don't
Mhm.
see it might be there, but I have not witnessed the same idea of like if you're not owning your home, you're throwing your money away that I see in America. And so I'm always interested. That's one of the reasons I want to have this conversation. I'm always interested in the reasons that people buy property abroad. And a lot of times it really is just like we haven't escaped that idea, that American ideal yet.
Mhm.
But you, like South Africa, is home for you
Mhm.
for a variety of reasons, including show it to us. Show it to us. Where it
So
at?
we're
Show.
talking about what's that?
Boom. Boo. All right, so y'all, she came to one man and ended up with another. She stays with the fiance. I don't know how. Why, I don't know, but she stays. Stays with the fiance. She's already told me I'm not invited to the wedding, so I am not going to take it personally. But she didn't say that, but she implied it strongly. So she's now engaged to fiance number 2 in South Africa.
Mhm.
And so like you're building a life there.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Definitely.
I'm getting your business a little bit.
Go ahead.
Is how involved is fiance? We don't ignore the other one. I'm just gonna call him fiance. How involved is fiance in the financial decisions you're making now?
Um, Let me just say this: we're not married.
Mm-hmm.
So the financial decisions that I make, they are my decisions. They are my financial decisions because we're not married and we don't have joint finances at this time. Later on, we can make those decisions, but I'm making my own financial decisions. He makes his own. I'm self-employed. He's self-employed. So we do our own thing.
Okay. All right. Did he have input on this current purchase? Like
No,
any
no,
kind of like, yeah, I like it. No, I
no.
didn't. No.
No, you know what? The day that I put the deposit down, I just called him. I said, "Hey, I just threw this money down on this place." He's like, "Oh, congratulations!" Because I already told him this is what I want to do. My fiance, future husband, is a musician, so he's deep into his music. That's his passion. Me, at this point, I'm still in my travel, but I also want to grow. I don't know how I'm going to do it into this real estate mogul in South Africa. So he's very supportive of what I do. I'm very supportive of what he does. So we basically support each other in our own what we like to do, basically. So it works out.
Okay. Um, all right. I want to address Lovely Day in the comments real quick
Okay.
because she's saying that it's better to buy in the States than to own. And someone else said it's cheaper to buy than to own. And I think we all have to remember that cheaper isn't everybody's goal,
Mhm.
right? Like cheaper, what the decision that makes sense for you isn't going to be the decision that makes sense for everybody else. So, yes, in the long term, it might be cheaper to buy a home, but not everybody is looking for long term cheaper. People are looking for different things. And so making blanket statements like it's better to do this or better to do that, even if you're talking about short term, even if there's some caveat around it, I think is still not helpful to most people because we're not all looking for the same things, right? Like we're looking for different things. And so we need to be mindful of that. Like, yes, price comes into play for a lot of us, but it's not the only factor, right? Like I don't I don't ever want a mortgage again in my life.
Yeah, that's a really good, a really good thing because, like you said, everybody is individual. There are people here in South Africa that have been here for many years and have never owned, and it's a personal decision. It's a personal decision that a person makes. For me personally, I know that the place that I'm living in now, I won't be here forever, but I bought in a neighborhood that's booming, so I know I'll leave this place, go to another place, and I'll make my money back. That's my goal.
Mhm.
Some people they don't. That's not their goal. It just depends on what a person wants. Not we all don't want the same thing.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, that's part of a life we live, right? We get to make our own choices. Um, and that's it. Yeah. Louise says real estate increases in value in the USA until it doesn't, right? Like we've been through some bubbles that have really hurt a lot of people and like our communities, right? So
2008,
child.
like 2008. I remember.
I've hurt a lot of people in our communities. And so some people are still recovering from that.
Mhm.
It's not like I know it's deeply ingrained in us to think that like real estate is the answer, and it will be for some people, but for other people it won't.
Mhm.
Follow what's true for you. So, woo! All right, move on. What haven't we talked about? What
You know
haven't
what? I can tell you what we haven't talked about:
we talked about?
mistakes in
Yes,
buying.
it's on my list. Mistakes made. Do it.
Oh my goodness. I can tell you two mistakes that I made. Number one, I'm laughing about this now. Um, my lease at my old apartment was up at the end of May 2021. However, what I did not realize in South Africa, you can move into your apartment when they give you the date to say, hey, it's ready. You can move into that apartment. However, technically, the apartment isn't yours until everything has been transferred over by the city. If that hasn't been done, you will actually be paying rent until the transfer paperwork is done. I had no idea.
So you were paying double rent?
No, I was already out
Okay.
of my old apartment. But what happened was because I moved into my place, I was the first person to move into this place. It was brand new. I picked up my key at 8 o'clock in the morning. They took a picture of me, posted it all over. This is the first resident. She's in here. Not realizing my transfer paperwork wasn't even done yet. So technically, I didn't even own it and I was here. So I actually owed rent to the builder.
Okay. So you weren't paying rent.
I was done.
You were done. You were paying rent here. Did the rent line up? How was that rent calculated if you didn't even know you
They
were paying?
gave me a discount. They gave me a discount because they're like, okay, whatever. So they gave me a discount, but still, I was like, but it's my place. But I paid. Here's my documents. They're like, but you signed this knowing this is this. I was like, shit. I didn't understand the English because although I speak English, sometimes the English does not line up the same way. And I didn't realize I was going to have to pay what they call occupational rent
Mhm.
because I didn't know. So I paid it. I think I had to pay it for I want to say about 2 months. So
Okay.
yes,
So,
I paid.
but you had no control over the transferring of the paperwork from a city. Okay, so I'm confused about what's being transferred. Is it like your utilities? What's the transfer that's happening? Is it
The
owned by
transfer
the city?
of the unit to you directly.
Okay, so like
So,
the ownership of the property.
yes, it had not been done. So for my next place, I've learned that when they say, "Hey, your place is ready," let me just make up a date, September 1st, 2024. I'm gonna say, I'm not coming in there until I know that transfer is done. Once the transfer is done, then I will take ownership of the keys, which explains, which I didn't realize this. I was the first person to move in. I was in this building basically by myself for probably 2 or 3 months. Nobody was here. And I think that's because people that are locals to here knew, don't move until that paperwork happens.
Ah,
So after that point, that's when I started noticing people coming in. I was like, ah,
so you were the rookie on the block.
yes, that was the rookie.
Okay.
The rookie.
So, and you had
Yes.
no control over when that transfer happened.
No, it's whenever the city is finished with your paperwork.
Okay. So you
Yeah,
were paying rent on a property you already owned.
yeah.
Well, you
Fortunately,
apparently didn't really own it. Apparently.
yeah, I didn't. Apparently, I didn't own it. So that was that. Another thing that I didn't realize, the place where I live, I'll have to say this. I'm a little spoiled in certain ways. So when this entire complex is built, we will have a lot of amazing amenities. So I can't wait till it's done so you can come and visit me then, because we will have a cigar lounge here. I don't even smoke cigars, but I'm going to start just to go down there. So cigar lounge. There's a massage place here, sauna, private dining, a running track inside the complex, so many different amenities that they decided to do here. However, what I didn't realize was, I'm laughing about this now, is the second day after I came into my complex, I had a designer come in and do everything because I just didn't want to do the shop. But I was like, here, just take this money, just go do what you need to do. I just don't care. Um, I was in a unit, so my realtor was here. A friend of mine's, Gilbert, was here, and some other folks were here. We were drinking champagne, and I'm touching the wall like, where's the AC unit? Where's the heating unit? And my realtor looked at me and says, "These apartments don't come with heat or air." I was like, "What? What? What do you mean this apartment does not come with heat or air?" They were like, "No. If you wanted it, it's an extra feature that you have to pay for." I was like, "What?" Wow, I had no idea. So last year, I went through a South African winter, and baby, woo! I know people say, "Oh, Africa's hot." Mm-mm, this is South Africa, South Africa. I did pay for some upgrades here in my house. I did pay for double pane windows, which I'm glad, but that didn't help me in the wintertime. So I actually ended up, I think it was earlier this year, I said, listen, I'm not going to go through this. So I now have air conditioning in my house and I have heat because the winter will be here in 2 months. So I want to be ready. I want to be ready. So that was one thing I didn't realize, how that actually worked. So it's best to ask, any amenities that you're used to having in the States, better ask, does this unit come with air conditioning? Does it come with heat? Can I get upgraded floors? I was too busy putting wood floors in. I should have been asking about air conditioning.
But
So,
your realtor didn't know what you were looking for?
hmm?
The realtor you worked with didn't know that you were looking for that?
Well, here's the deal. South Africa, most places don't come with air or heat. So for them, I don't think it's something to even ask about.
Right.
So it's
Right.
something that you don't even think to ask, because most people here, I'd noticed I would go visit some of my friends in the wintertime and I would be like, why is it so cold in here? Why are these people sitting here with their coats on in the house? Houses don't have heat. They may buy a portable heater, whether it's a oil heater or a gas heater or a forced air heater or something like that. And most people don't have air conditioning either.
Um, yeah, I don't have air. I got these fans. I got these heaters. I have a fan and a heater in the corner of my room because you never know in Mexico City, you never know what the night's gonna bring. I have them both looking at me from my bed. Yeah, I think that's something else to when we talk about when people tell you prices. Oh, you can get an apartment here for this. What are the amenities what is the lifestyle you need at like
Mhm.
a basic level? Because if being really, really hot drives you insane and you don't want to live a place where you're really, really hot, don't assume there's air conditioning. right? Like you have to
Right.
ask these questions. In that $200 shack by the beach, will there be air conditioning? Because if there's not,
Yes.
some of y'all not gonna be able to live there, especially when them hot flashes kick in. Like, let's be real,
Listen,
it's not gonna be comfortable.
listen, I'm at that age now. I have the air on right now. Let me tell you.
Listen, it's not. These are the questions you need to ask. Like,
Yes.
you have to know yourself and what you need when you move abroad. Because a lot of people think I can live on less, and that might be true. But you need to know what the like bottom is, because that's also how people end up moving abroad and hating their experience, right? Because they chased that $200 apartment and ended up somewhere where there were insects
Hmm.
or other animals or something, and they're like, I can't live like this.
Yes.
The other person who told you about it could live like this, and so they didn't even bother mentioning it.
Hmm. Well,
So
you see, I was gonna say, you see a lot of people. I want to live on the land. I want to live like the locals, and I'm thinking not all of the locals live in these ways that you think that they may be living. There are people, like I said, I have a neighbor that has a penthouse here, a two-story penthouse with a pool on her roof. This kind of things where people don't realize not everybody is living a certain type of way. So yeah, definitely you want to ask the questions to make sure that you know. Another thing that happened here was it's important if you do decide to purchase a property in South Africa or anywhere, if there is an HOA or some type of board, get involved. Get involved immediately, make yourself known. You don't have to be the nosy neighbor or anything like that, but get involved in these organizations because number one, you'll meet people. And I like to call it, this is how you meet movers and shakers, because most of the people on these organizations, they are investors. They can tell you, oh, you're looking at this property. Oh, no, 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 don't buy that. They have this problem here or whatever. But it's just been good. And we had, when I moved here, we had to pay for fiber. And I remember seeing the bill. I was like, why do I have to pay for this? This should have been included in the cost. And we had somebody in our investors and homeowners group that basically said, if you, which I really like this, I'm laughing about it now, that they basically said, if we have to pay for this, I'm going to pull out of the deal. It's only a few $100, but we ended up, everyone actually ended up getting it for free. Well, we should have had it for free in the first place. So you have to watch for small things like that.
okay. Um, any other mistakes you made?
Um, I would say that's it. My current place, this is another interesting thing. So the current place I'm looking at for Rosebank, I picked an apartment that I signed for, and I was happy with that unit. I got a phone call last week saying that they want me to switch to a different apartment, and my spidey senses went up and said, "Who wants my apartment? Who wants the unit that I'm in? Who is it? Basically say, who is this person?" So had a meeting with their team last week so they could explain to me what the real story was. And after I heard the real story, they basically offered me an apartment for less price than what I was paying, but it wasn't in a desirable location. I was like, I don't want this apartment. I will pull out of this deal. Do realize you don't have to buy anything. You can pull out of a deal if you want. It's not a problem. So with the deal that I'm in right now, their developer basically gave me an offer that's actually better than what I already have, and I'm not paying extra for it. So you can you can will and deal, you can negotiate. You know, I'm actually supposed to pay them more money. I'm not, and I'm negotiating for them to give me some upgrades. They think I'm not going to do it, but Tim, if you're listening, this is what you're going to do. Okay.
Tim, if you're here, I won't. I'm not buying nothing. Okay, real quick,
Hmm.
I want to touch on your current cost of living.
Okay.
What are we talking about? For okay, so you're in a two
Um,
bedroom.
yeah, I'm two bedroom, two bath apartment.
You own your vehicle,
Yes.
which you already paid for in cash. So like
Yes.
the only expenses would be like gas and maybe any taxes or you know.
Yes.
But people are asking about HOA fees.
Hmm.
So give us like a real. I don't need
Um,
to down to the penny, but like a,
Okay, if I can, if putting everything
ballpark.
together, we do have a well, they call them body corporates here. So I have a body corporate here that covers some of the same things that you have in the what they have in the states, like maintenance, uh, security. Security is a huge thing in South Africa, so I'm pretty sure a lot of the budget goes to security there. Groundskeeping, keeping the generator running, the lights and whatnot. So if I could do a ballpark. I think I'm paying maybe a month, including the taxes plus the HOA fees, probably right about 300 a month in US.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, because my HOAs in California are about that.
Okay. All right. So now include that in all your general living expenses in your, remember, she's a socialite. So this is
I'm
not
not a
the same
socialite.
number for everybody.
Well, you know what? I can tell you this. If based off of what I think my apartment would go for rent, uh, unfurnished, let me see, because I think right now I got to do the math here. Let me see here. This is just a rough guess. Um, okay, if I were to rent my apartment unfurnished, I think I could probably get about 1400 US a month for this particular apartment. But I'm paying because of location. Let me just tell you honestly, it's location. Its location. This particular area where I'm living. Again, I keep mentioning security. This is one of the few places I've seen people walking um, in this particular area, and there have been times where I'm in the local walking group. If you're walking, security will be like, "Are you fine? Are you well? Are you okay? Do you need anything?" And they will kind of stay close by you to make sure that you're fine. I'm not trying to say South Africa is dangerous. We do have a reputation of being a crazy, a crazy place. However, I don't feel unsafe here. But security here is a very huge thing in this particular neighborhood. There are a lot of big estates here. A lot even in my building. Like you can't get in here unless you have biometric access. Even then, you can't even get up the elevator without pressing a button. You can't even get through doors without pressing. It's like so much security here in this particular place, and also in the surrounding neighborhoods by me. But if I had to guess, as far as pricing and everything, if I were right now, I don't have a mortgage, so I don't have a mortgage. But if I did, I think I'd be paying about 1400 a month for my apartment. My utilities per month, I'm paying maybe $70 or so. I think my cable's like 40, something like that. So I mean, sorry, internet is like 40, so it's not that much. Uh, the only thing is, I like to call myself lifestyle of a fake South African socialite. So I do go out a lot. I do believe in fine dining. I do like to go places, socialize. I like to camp and do things like that. So, on a monthly level, I would say if I wasn't paying for a mortgage, I'm probably spending yeah, total for everything, not including rent, maybe 1500, maybe US, maybe
Okay.
not even that, not
300,
including rent.
not including the housing because the housing is already taken care of.
Right.
But that does include
Probably
your
less.
HOA and your
Say it
tax.
again.
Does that include your HOA and the $300 for your HOA and taxes, or does it not including that?
Yeah, probably about that. But what I've done is I'm like my mother. My mother was one of those people that she liked to pay in advance. So what I do here is I just pay the bill in advance. So when the bill comes, I'm just like, I know it's already paid. I just don't want to have any bills. So I just when the rates go up, well, up in my favor, I just like pay a huge chunk.
Okay. All right. Hmm. I'm trying to figure out how to do that, girl. These bills out here, they give you like 3 days to pay these bills.
Well,
Anyway,
here they don't. You know what? I'll say this: here they have time. They have grace period. They don't rush you. But like for my my electricity bills here. I just like every month I just drop like the equivalent of like $70 on the account, and they haven't shut me off. So and I can see that even with that, I still have uh, good coverage, that nothing is going wrong, that everything is well.
Okay.
So it's a work out pretty well.
Good. All right. So you're living the bougie life for on around $1,500 a month. If you had to rent your own now, you'd add on another 1,400. So we can say about $3,000 a month. You are fabulous and famous. I love it. I love
But
it.
but I do a lot of stuff. I go out.
Oh yeah, fabulous and famous. We see you. We see you in the street.
If this week, I'm trying to go to an event. I'm trying to debate if I'm going or not because I've looked at the price. I'm like, do I want to pay for this? But then I'm like, well, who's going to be there, and what will I learn from these people? But I think I'm going to go.
She be at events getting serenaded and stuff. I'm just like, okay, okay, sis. Okay. Serenaded. The whole band here for her. Goes to restaurants, they know her by name.
They know me very well in these places.
How many restaurants do you have a table at?
You know what? I don't have a table at places, but there are so many places I can go. If I can't get in, the owner or the manager will be like, "Oh, it's you. Well, give me a few minutes," and all of a sudden, the table magically happens. But I go a lot. I support a lot of businesses here, so they're used to seeing me come in places. Like there's a restaurant down the street, and the weird thing is, I collect phone numbers. So like every place I go to, I have like the manager's phone number. Hey, I'm coming. You got this today. Is the fish fresh today? Because I'm coming in. Because I got these people coming. Is it okay? So I just, I don't know. This is not the lifestyle I thought I would be living, but here I am.
So whenever she says fake socialite, I roll my eyes because
I'm
Child's
still a fake socialite.
real socialite. But I do hear what I heard is that right now is that the event planning side of you rolls over to the real life side of you a bit, right? I'm bringing people. Is the fish fresh? Like I hear it. I hear it. Most people aren't calling managers to find out about the fish before they come to a restaurant, but I hear it. I do.
No, like I said, there's an event this week at a restaurant I frequent. It's a fine dining 5-star restaurant here, black owned place, and they're doing a one-on-one with the manager. I'm sorry, with the owner, and I'm thinking I need to be there. I need to be there. So I think I'm going.
Okay, so at my restaurant, I went there the other day for their 10-year anniversary, and it's owned by a husband and wife. The husband's the chef. The wife is lovely. I don't know what role she plays, but she walked over and she was like, "I heard you're one of our special guests." And I was like, I never met them before because I just know hours when they're not there. But when she said that, I was like, I'm official now.
Yes.
I'm official now.
Yes. You're making me laugh. You know what? There's a lady here in South Africa. I watch her on Instagram, and I've never met her. She's one of my favorite people. Her name is Amanda Dambuza. I've never met her, but she's so empowering, so inspiring. She has her own knife at this restaurant with her name on it. I'm aspire to that level.
Okay.
To that level.
Yes. Yes.
I'm waiting to get to that level. I love her. Love her.
Yes. Are we waiting to get to the level, or are we asking to get to the level? What are we doing? Are we just waiting? What are we doing?
Waiting to. Maybe I should call Joseph and say, Joseph, can you just get the knife ready for me, okay? Please.
Y'all hear this? We make a move. We're not waiting for people to give us what we want. We are asking for what we want. Yes, Joseph might say, "No, not today. You got to eat here 20 more times," but you're gonna eat there 20 times anyway, and it'll probably be there by time 15. Joseph is in the back making up the knife right now. The minute you ask,
I'm like, Joseph, I gotta get
this. Listen, when y'all move to wherever you're moving, get a place. It's so comforting to have a place where like the staff
Didn't
I'm
know.
getting I'm getting WhatsApp messages from a staff like, "Are you coming to this
Yes,
event?"
yes. And I emailed Joseph the other day. It was like, should I come?
Right? Like, and I
Yes.
don't know why I never had that in America. I don't know why I never had that in America, but in here, we working it out. We working out our favorite
Yes.
place. Yes. All right. Kina says she has no energy to stay up all night. Just her talking about all her VIP activities. I'm tired. I'm telling you, she says she don't have the energy for the all nights, but like I said, celebrity. Okay, so every time you say it, I just ignore you. You can bother. You can just stop saying it's not true because we're ignoring that. Fiance.
Hmm.
How'd you meet him?
You know what? This is such a funny question because I've known him for years. Um, I'm laughing because in 2018, I was in South Africa to meet my former fiance, and my barber cut my hair, posted a picture of my haircut on Instagram, and some guy says, "Who is this lady?" And I typed, "Me. I'm the lady in the picture." And he sent me a message on Instagram, and I was like, "Oh hi, blah blah blah, whatever, just general conversation." That was it. And that was it. So at that time, I was like, "Hey, I have I'm here for something else." And then he just made small talk or whatever. I got engaged like right away to the other person, and the guy was like, "Congratulations," and I didn't hear from him for a while, which I was engaged. That's respect. So after I became unengaged, if you will, I still didn't hear from him. It was a little bit later on. He sent me a message. "How are you doing?" I was like, "I'm great." I was like, "Hey, I'm moving to South Africa." He's like, "Great." So I ended up moving to South Africa in November 2019. He says, "Hey, congratulations. Welcome to South Africa. You should come to one of my shows." I was like, "Yeah, no, no, I'm not coming." 2020 rolls around. He's a musician. He's a saxophonist, plays the trumpet, flugelhorn, piano,
Oh,
whatever. He sings as well. So 2020 rolls around. He sends me a message like, "Hey, you should come to my show." I was like, "No." Mm-mm. COVID hits and everybody's home. Every industry is at home. Nothing is going on. So at that time, I had to learn how to cook. So I was cooking all kinds of food, posting it on my WhatsApp status. He sent me a message, "Hey, you should invite me over or let me have, one of the meals that you make." I was like, "No, no." Later on in the year, my computer cable broke. This was in June 2020, and my ex fiance took me to go get a computer cable, and I remembered that my guy lived there in that area. So I called him. I said, "Hey, why don't you meet me at such and such computer store?" So we met. That was the first time we met in June 2020, face to face. So uh, later on, he invited me to come to some events. Again, I said, "No, I'm not coming." Um, then later on, I had I was going to Rosebank, and I was like, "Hey, would you like to have a breakfast with me in Rosebank?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm in Rosebank." So we had breakfast together. And this was probably like October 2020. He was like, "Oh, I like you." I was like, "You probably have gas. You don't like me. It can't be. So no way." And he told me when his birthday was. I was like, "I don't date these type of people. No, no, I don't do that." And again, invited me to another show. I said, "No, not going." Then he heard about my birthday. He came to my birthday party. And I think from that moment, I started looking at him a little bit different. I was dating other people at the time, but, I was like, "Okay, let me see what he's about." The following year, 2021, I ended up getting COVID. He was calling me when I was in the hospital, checking on me, trying to make sure I was okay. And I was like, whatever, whatever. Then after I got out of the hospital, he was calling me, trying to check on me every day, blah, 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 what have you. And yeah, so we just was like, okay, fine. And then as the year progressing, he's introducing me to his friends and like, "Let's go to this place to meet these people." And I'm just like, okay, fine. I still didn't know what was going on, but it wasn't until later that um, I'm going to laugh about this. My friend came to visit me in April last year, and she told me, she says, "Don't you see what's in front of you?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" She says, "This man is everything that you've asked for, but your eyes are over here like this." Because I was in the streets. I was for the streets. You know, I was for the streets. So, he was still consistently there, and I'm just over here like this. And finally I was like, okay. Then I was like, well, maybe I do like him, maybe I do care, or all this kind of stuff. So it just developed, and next, we find ourselves, dating. And last year in December, just 3 months ago on my birthday, he asked me to marry him, in front of all of his friends and in front of all of my friends. And I said yes. So it's been great. It's been a great experience. So I don't know. A lot of people are asking me about a wedding. I don't want a wedding. I just want a party, just a big party. But we'll see. We'll see how this goes.
We're all thinking it. We're all just thinking it. But I'm gonna have to run this back real quick. Did you say that you met current fiance the first time while you were with ex fiance? Physically, guys, all three of you were together? Is
I
that
mean, I didn't have a car. I needed a ride to the place, so he took me there. So yeah, he was there. Yeah,
and you were unfianced at the barbershop,
that's correct.
getting your hair cut
Yes.
to go see your future fiance, and you picked up a second future fiance at the same time?
Well, that was later. It was a little bit
But
later.
but that's when it happened.
I mean, you could say that.
I feel like there should be a class, there should be a something. Can there be a seminar? Can where
I don't. You know what? All I can say is keep your eyes open. Don't let your boyfriend get in the way of you finding your husband.
no ma'am, no ma'am. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. You were with the ex-fiance when you
Mhm.
met the current fiance for the first time.
Yes.
Y'all hear this? Y'all- I she slid that in real quick like we weren't gonna hear it. She slid, I didn't have a car, so I had him take me. No, ma'am.
I didn't have a car.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah. It's
Oh,
two fiancés in South Africa.
I mean, I don't know what to say. And they both proposed in December.
Listen,
I said,
and with the streets in between, it was fiance, streets, fiance.
what can I say?
What can she say? Like I said, what can she say? What is it? What is the lesson? Listen, I am thinking of cutting my hair, but not for men. We can't make choices for men. Can't.
Oh.
I'm tired of hair. But that's a different story. That's a different story. All right. I just okay, so I love your story. And I think part of the reason that it always moves me is you're like, it feels very, oh, that was just a bump in the road, right? Like these things, like I know that you're impacted by things, right? But it's also like I was engaged. I was moving to South Africa, to Johannesburg, because my fiance was there and we were going to start our lives together. Fiance gone, we still move, right? Still moving
Yeah.
to South Africa, still went and got your retirement visa. Boom, here you are. COVID, all the things, apartment, property mogul in the making, knife in your name before you know it. The celebrities got her on speed dial, invite her to parties. The vision, and like the ability to say like, yes, this didn't work out the way I wanted it to or I expected it to, but I'm still making progress, right? I'm still moving ahead. I'm still doing the things I want to do because we're not letting nothing hold us back. And it's just like,
Exactly.
there are so many ways to live your life abroad, and I think that you're a shining beacon to so many of us, right?
Thank
And
you.
it's not just the men, right? It's not just the property, it's the joy. Like, I know you live your life with a level of joy that
Yes.
allows, that like
Thank you.
brings all of this goodness to you, and I'm so happy for you. I'm
Thank you.
still, if you say there's a party, you don't have to invite me because I'm gonna be there. Have to uninvite me because I'm gonna be there. It's fine. It's fine. I need to. I want to be there rubbing the shoulders. I want to be there. Yes. Yes. All right. Uh, I'm. I love it. Okay, so I feel like we covered it. We've been here for 2 hours and 15 minutes, y'all. I feel like we covered it. Um, I don't, but I don't want to say goodbye.
Well, I mean, maybe someone has something to say in the comments. I'm looking at all the comments here.
Comments. What is it you want to address? Let's see if there's anything that I knew we had to get to. Okay. Oh, I had a great question and I wrote it down.
Okay.
How did you how do you feel you were treated buying property as you present in South Africa? So you're Black, and we know
Mhm,
South Africa is not neutral on race. Let's not pretend, right?
mhm,
You're American,
mhm.
you're a woman, and you're single. Like, did any of those, could you feel any of those different factors playing a role in the purchase experience?
Mm, um, excuse me. I'm going to say yes, but only on one angle, which that angle is the American angle.
Okay.
Um, I hate to say this, but I mean, but well, let me not say I hate to say this. One thing is, I do realize I'm coming from a place of privilege, and I try not to come here and just be like, I'm American, I'm American. No, I try not to, you know, to do that. But I think sometimes when people find it out, they make an assumptions that, oh, well, this person's American, they must have this, they must have the resources for this. Let me do what have you. But I think in my case, when I purchased, the person that was my sales agent basically says, oh, well, we have other American buyers, so maybe you know this person or what have you, to say that okay, it's not just you. There are other people here that are coming here to invest in this building or whatever the case may be. I don't think it mattered that I was a woman, Black, or what have you. I think it mattered that they saw, okay, well, maybe she must have some funds, which is, I'm going to say this. This is so interesting that you say this. Um, in South Africa, because I look at properties a lot on my phone or whatever, it pops up in my Facebook feed. Um, I think here people want to know, do you have money to pay for things? Because if you say there's an apartment that pops up that says Rashida's penthouse apartments or whatever the case may be, starting price 4 million rand. The first question it asks is, do you understand that this apartment is 4 million rand? So they don't care who you are. They want to know, can you make this payment? Can you make this bond? And there was something that popped up, and I clicked no just to see what it would say. It would say, well, you're not eligible because you don't understand that this is not. So I think for them, it's an issue of privilege of money. And South Africa sometimes has, well, not sometimes, they do have a reputation for being an unequal society. Here and there's, I hate to say it, there are have and have nots, which we have also in the States. However, the biggest thing, and especially overseas, is it really boils down to, do you have the finances to take care of this, or can you get a bond? Do you have the resources to handle this? And if you do, there are some deals that could be had. I look at real estate all the time, and I'm always like, should I buy this? And I'm like, no, okay, it's only this much. And I'm like, but it's in this neighborhood. This is gonna be a problem, whatever. So you have to look at all of that.
Okay. A question came up earlier that I didn't get a chance to grab completely, uh, but I know what it was, and it was, you're in year 3 of a 4-year retirement visa.
No, I am actually my first visa I received in May 2019, and it actually expired in July 2021.
Okay.
Only because my passport was expiring in 2021, so it expired. I have already since acquired my second visa, which is good for 4 years. So that visa expires in 2025. So here I will just keep applying for that. But in I think next month I'm going to apply for permanent residency. Here in South Africa, it takes a long time. I'm prepared to wait because my visa is current. I can just wait as long as I need to wait just to see if they'll give it to me. So I'm going to apply anyway.
Is the permanent residency application easier if you're married to a South African?
um, I don't know. I don't know if it's easier because even with that, you still have to wait 5 years. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's easier. Which, if I have a moment to talk about this, there are other ways you can become a permanent residency resident here, which some people do it through critical skills visa. So critical skills visa, you can come in, they give you a 1 year visa, you get a job here, and your company will sponsor you. So that's a quick way to get it. That's how my ex fiance received it, was that way. You can also do financially independent visa. You can do a retiree visa. You can do a business visa. There are so many different types there that you can do. The only thing is, nothing here is right away. It just takes a very long time. So I'm going to apply and see what happens.
Is the process, does the process in real life that you've experienced so far match the process as outlined on any South African government websites?
Uh, yes, it's just a matter of time. Like I applied for my second retiree visa here in South Africa. Um, what I like about their website is they actually give you the checklist. So when you go in to do your application, they basically sit there with you, check, 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 and next thing you know, you just get text updates or email updates, so you know what's going on the entire time.
Okay. It's not like that in Mexico. There's a list,
Excuse me.
and then every consulate adds their own thing or asks for something different or special. And you're
Mm,
like, I didn't know about this. A lot of times people are like flying to other places to get it done.
yes.
You have to you have to do the part in the US, right? You have to start it in the US and so, or outside of South Africa, outside of Mexico. And they're often like,
No.
oh, yeah, we didn't tell you you need this, but you do. So
Mm,
go do that. So that sounds very nice, but South Africa is
yes.
clear,
Yes.
consistent, and like upfront about what the requirements are.
Just takes a long time. Yes.
Okay. All right. Um, Thank you so much for joining us today.
No worries. Thanks for having me. I've enjoyed this time. And now you got me thinking, what am I going to tell you the next time? Maybe I'll be on property number five.
Listen, listen. Property number 5 is still gonna be. eh, I mean, same fiance, husband. Maybe you'll
Yes.
have 6 kids by the time I see you next.
No, no kids. We'll get, I have plants. He's a plant daddy. I'm a plant mom.
Wait, and the fish. Are the fish still around?
You know what? The fish, one has passed on, went on to fish glory. So we have another fish. So it's three.
Okay. All right. So fish and plants.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
All
it.
right. Maybe some pets. 17 dogs in the house or something. I don't know.
Well, he wants a dog, but we would have to go to a house for that because I can't. No, not in here.
Oh, which I guess I'm not get deep in your business for a second. Um, do you have plans to change residence post marriage?
Um, um, yes, that will happen. Probably not right away. We do not live in the same house. So he lives somewhere else. I'm here. We're basically 30 minutes away from each other because most of what he does is that way. I'm out this way. So when we marry, we will end up moving somewhere. And their culture is basically you have to, I'm technically supposed to go to where he is, but my place is actually bigger. But we'll either stay here or we'll move to a bigger place. So we'll see.
Okay.
and he's a musician, so he needs space to play his instruments and have the band perform and whatnot.
He needs space away from you to play. Like you don't need to be there.
No, just like space. Like
Okay.
no, space. Not like for me. No, he's actually been texting me like, "Where are you?"
No, I meant, do you need space away from him when he's playing, like all the time? I don't know if that's like a, not that it's bad.
My father, he reminds me of my dad. My father was a musician, and my father would wake up in the morning playing music, whatever. Sometimes he'll call me, and I'll hear him like playing the tracks in the background or what have you. So I let him do his thing. He lets me do my thing. So it's a mutual respect for each other. So yeah, Dr. Felix he does his thing. I do mine.
All right, Dr. Felix. So I'm envisioning a house with a backyard for the dog and maybe like a little, he shed in the back with the band. They can come through and Jimmy Jam out there.
That would be great.
With the musician, that's what you would need to be somewhere else, right?
Yes.
Like, play outside. Right. So, yeah, I wish the best for you, y'all.
Thank you.
I know when you put your mind to something, it's going to happen. So we're going to see the knife with your name on it.
Yes.
We're going to see the knife. We're going to see the status. You're already at 3, even though you can't keep track. And like I said, these celebrities are going to have you on speed dial. Every time they have a party, you need to be there. I see it. I
hope so.
I see it. I see it happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
This is another long one, but it was a good one, y'all. If you missed it
was.
If you have a question in the comments, we have probably already, and you're just tuning in, we probably already answered it. So go ahead and scrub back to the beginning, and we will catch you next week with some more stuff. Bye. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.